I'm Dr. Angie Stong.
And I'm Kayla McGuire.
And this is Integrated Connections, a wellness community for pets and people.
Hello, I am Kayla McGuire. For those of you who don't know me, I do a lot of the work behind the scenes for Integrative Connections. I manage our team. I produce these podcasts. There has been a little bit of a learning curve, so I super appreciate you sticking with us. I hope you are enjoying all of the content coming through this channel as much as I am. I will do a whole separate video on how producing this podcast has literally changed my life, body, mind, and spirit. So look forward to that. But the reason why I wanted to record this quick clip is I wanted to humbly apologize because when I set up the cameras for Dr. Angie and her guest, I hit record, and then I go sit down and take notes for the post-production. And as you can see here, when I hit record on beautiful Dr. Angie, as soon as I walked away, it blurred her, and I did not realize that. So if it does bother you, I encourage you to just listen to the audio version of this podcast because you do not want to miss Tom Mays and everything that he has to offer. This episode blew my socks off. I actually listened to it even after I watched it live and edited it. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And thank you again for being a part of the Integrative Connections community. And we look forward to all there is to come. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Integrative Connections. I'm super excited today to have Tom Mays on visiting with us today.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, Tom is actually, I've known Tom for, over a decade.
Yeah.
He is an equine osteopathic clinician of over 2 decades experience with various techniques that he's evolved in terms of working on energetic patterns in horses and helping them to be more balanced and more healed. And so he'll share a little bit more about that evolution and also what his work has evolved into now, which is basically using horses to be a conduit to help humans awaken.
Yep.
So thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Can you share with us a little bit about the evolution of how you got to be where you're at today? How you got into osteopathy, how you got into the horse world, why you chose that path, and who were your biggest mentors?
Yeah. It's a serendipitous path, meaning it was perfect, looking back on it. But I originally was set up to do the standard MD route. So I grew up around MDs, and
I was too, actually, before I went into veterinary medicine.
And so that whole concept and that mentality, especially decades ago, it was extremely
pretty in the box.
Yeah, they're very linear, and science was gonna heal everything.
This is it. You don't go out of the
box. So that mentality was very strong in the newer awakening of science and all that stuff. Anyway, I was always enchanted by healing, not just because my dad and everything was in it and I was around it. It was an innate thing. And then as a young child, I would be able to kind of look at certain people that I would see come in that I happened to be around or whatever in clinical situation. And I would just pick up correlations without even knowing the anatomical landmarks. And then in those days, I'd make statements, well, that's like adrenals are causing what is that? The thyroid, that kind of thing. And my dad looked at me like, you're out of your mind.
Because your dad was an endocrinologist.
Yeah.
So you kind of were thinking along the lines of...
He thought he was eclectic and further forward. I would consider him to be pretty mundane from that standpoint now, but he was cutting edge.
For that time.
And actually, he retired as the world's leading pediatric endocrinology consultant.
Wow.
And so he, all that's there. And I have tremendous respect for the allopathic community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the same time, I ain't waiting on them to wake up. And the results of true deep healing are, I'm looking for the results. And if they had the whole package in their viewpoint, which is strong, but it's kind of tunnel vision, then I would have stayed there. Being in pre-med, I remember in college, one day I went...
Oh, you actually were pre-med?
Oh, yeah. And I loved it. And the academics, I still do.
Yeah.
And But I just remember one day going, you guys are devoid of spirit. You're devoid of the real passion and essence of life that really drives the physiology. And so I got up and walked out.
Wow.
And I went a different way. And
Wow.
so that went on, and I went into a different path. I went into public school education.
Okay.
And different things like that. But even there, it was about not just teaching the fundamentals. It was about getting kids to reconnect with their passion. And then their learning takes off. Then the test scores. So that was always what I did. So the results of that were pretty huge.
Yeah.
But as we probably all know, that educational system is pretty retrograde in terms of its ability to do that. So then I always was interested in healing and the depth of it and in application. And I've always been a skeptic in that I want to see results. I want provable, repeatable. That's the MD sun side probably. And I think it's a valid, good way to be. So you have to own what you say you know you can do and what is. I like the triple blind study stuff. But so then I looked at it from a competitive standpoint in horses at first, like I'm not getting results with other things. And then I got into, I don't know, all kinds of different things. A lot of AK muscle testing.
Okay.
Then into Chinese
Applied
medicine.
kinesiology.
And the applied kinesiology still is a critical component because I will get into certain things on a horse, let's say, and I'm not sure what this dysfunction is, wherever it is. It's an organ, a blood vessel, whatever. And I'll ask the body, what is this? Is this blood? Is this a nerve problem? Is this an organ problem? Is it a fat? All those things. Is it a meridian problem? Is it a path issue? And then the body goes, yeah, and it goes down that path. But again, it's the repeatable results. Why I would even use AK? A lot of Chinese medicine. For me, I find that if some issue has gotten in really deep, a deep shadow issue, a deep organ dysfunction, a deep toxicity in the brain, the meridian system is eloquent but not good enough to get in there.
And the meridian system, for those who don't know it, is the Chinese medicine system of energy flow in the body,
Yes.
right? So that's one system of explaining energetic patterns.
It's like a communication pathway network.
Right.
But when it gets in deep, it works really good if the horse or the person or the dog is already opened up and then they go do some crazy event or have some experience and they are minorly tweaked. The meridian system and regular stretching is phenomenal. But when it goes in deep, no.
When it goes
then
more
you
to
need
the
deeper
spiritual,
technique.
emotional level.
Or even a deep physical hold.
Okay.
Like
into fascia patterns or
Yes,
nerve patterns,
yes.
then it doesn't always quite
and
fit.
organ dysfunction and especially vascular blockages.
So your technique has actually joined traditional osteopathy
Yes.
with traditional Chinese medicine.
Yes.
And
And
why
that has really been different.
Yeah, that's
And a
something
lot of
unique
other-
to you, really.
Yeah, it is. I always just say, well, it's just part of the
That's where
natural
you've been-
law,
where
but
you've been led.
that's the serendipitous path that to me has been, they must have planned that for me. It's like, no, you're not just going to go do this or become a traditional osteopath as a 22-year-old kid or whatever. You have to find these other experiences to weave the truth that you need to.
Sure. And one of your big mentors in the osteopathy world is Patricia Corticus.
Yes, she's definitely one of them. She's
great.
up in Eugene, Oregon.
And I've taken her classes as well.
And
she's great.
she's very traditionally trained in the real osteopathy. Should probably take a quick second on that. True osteopathy is incredibly powerful. The results are huge. And it's very much the biggest thing that sets it apart, without a doubt, is the ability that's innate in all of us, and I teach it for a living, to go into tissue at depth and then be there and be able to help mobilize dysfunctions at depth from the outside of the body without a lot of physical force.
So in a way, for those who don't really understand or haven't been exposed much, it's similar to if you say chiropractic is like working on the spine, osteopathy is like working on also the muscles, the fascia, the lymphatics, the nerves.
Any structure.
Any structure in
and
the body.
also what it may be. So
Any imbalances in those different tissues.
And so bone movement, chiropractic's high velocity, low impact really came out of the osteopathic school of direct technique, which is physical to physical. If I want to touch a bone or if I want to touch structure that's an inch down, I might have to push through the surface, find the torsion, and that's valid. That's a direct technique. Then there's the indirect technique, which is I'm going to go into it energetically.
Right.
And that allows me access to things I otherwise couldn't do, or I'd have to sedate a horse or a dog. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's an innate skill, and little kids don't know they don't have it. But we've been conditioned in the modern world to put that aside. So that's what I do. Without that technique, I call it melding with the body. Without that technique, the whole world, it's a very small world compared to that world. Because I have access to things that you could not do.
Right.
Like on a daily basis, I reset hypothalamus pituitary all the time.
Okay.
And the 3D, you will feel the 3D flip of that tissue in your hand as a verification of that movement and or what goes on downstream, and with endocrine reestablishment, things like that. Right. But osteopathy in its traditional sense is this deeper thing, and sadly it's gotten washed down.
Okay.
And in the United States is where it comes from. Largely the DO schools are really more just MD allopathic. They don't come up to you and go, oh, you have a problem with your stomach? They should go in and go, yeah, it's right there. And I think it's this pyloric valve or whatever. They're going to run a test. They're going to do the same standard MO. Anyway, true osteo is about results deep, almost legendary results with some of these old guys.
Yeah, very cool.
You're huge.
Very cool. So in terms of kind of the specific things that you would work on a horse from an osteopathic and TCM, traditional Chinese medicine perspective, for example, I know, kind of, let's talk about maybe the big things patterns that you tend to see in horses energetically, and then kind of what comes up a lot with the horses typically.
I want to go right away to the bigger picture of the energetic imbalance, because what I found, I really like structure. I really like moving and resetting the body, bones, blah, 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 vascular, organ, anything. But what you find, and you come back to it later, is that the true physical dysfunctions that are the biggie in humans, probably any animal, it's a part of natural law, are going to be where the beings got off purpose, where they have come in as this soul in this body and have gone off their passion. And when that, to me, is the definition of disease. And if I can trace that down, I'll find it in the body and help illuminate it in the being if it's willing. That's when you get the kind of miraculous physical responses.
Okay.
But osteopathy on its own, and what I do is I'm looking for where's the biggest physical dysfunctions initially.
Right.
Many times you'll get a horse or a dog that they're just not with it. They're not really conscious of where they're at. They're not kind of in flow with themselves. They're off purpose. And
kind of disconnected.
Yeah, the first thing I do after I kind of talk to them, and the first thing I do with any session is I do it from the head. I think it's just from the old horseman technique, but I'm asking them to bring their higher self into the picture.
Okay.
I'm not interested in their personality and their other condition. I'm interested, but I want who they really are to be back into natural flow in the proper order of things, and the results are different. Horses over people can go, okay, yeah, you're right, and you'll instantly feel their body's frequency change, and then you can have access much easier, and things start lighting up.
Interesting.
And then the next thing I do is I go right to the heart. And Frank Lowen out of Spokane, Washington, I originally learned his heart roll technique. Mm-hmm. And the heart on humans is where he learned it from. They found that it, under ultrasound, will roll over a period of about 8 beats in this arterial venous flow, mm-hmm. and irregardless of the pump. And it phases with the arteries, phases with the veins.
So it has its own rhythm.
And it has all this stuff has a physical correlate. To me, that's how we pick it up and how we restore whatever. And to me, this is really showing the true energy of the heart, because the heart's not big enough to pump the blood in the body. So there's a whole discussion.
It actually has a role as well.
And to me, I kept going, okay, what is this energy? And I'd feel it, and it was so obvious that I didn't see it for years. It's the energy of the soul.
Oh, wow.
And every culture throughout history will say the soul emanates from the heart.
Cool.
And And so I got really invested in that type of modality and technique. So I reset that and get the heart literally in position, because you'll see it out of position. It could be from a trauma from the outside, and it will, on a daily basis, the heart will flop physically back in position. And I'm sure from a cardiology standpoint that the outputs changes on the spot, because we restore.
It would have to do with like a heart rate variability.
Absolutely.
Same idea, right?
Absolutely.
So if your heart rhythm is able to, if you're in a sympathetic dominant state, it's not going to be able to do that normal pattern, right?
Yeah, and often that does some kind of a jump to the heart. I mean, you'll see it. The horse literally moves like it got jolted, and the changes in the body are huge, right? Obviously, if the vagal nerve is already at that point, the ventral vagal, it's reestablished its coherence.
Very cool.
Oh, it's huge. So anything about the heart, I could work on the horse just from the heart and then move out, and it would probably, and does often, do 80% of the healing.
It'll clear. So you'll start with bringing in their true essence.
Yes.
Normalize the heart flow, and then you see what's left, basically.
Yeah.
Then you look at the organs. And
like on just an allopathic 3D analogy, the osteopaths call it the rule of the artery. And what they really mean is blood tends to dominate dysfunctions all over. Physical dysfunctions. And I would say that's true. I wouldn't call it a rule. I'd call it a large dominant pattern.
Okay.
So I use it as a default technique. So I'm always looking at what's the bigger technique here that I need and what's going on. So Chinese medicine for me is, I had this article and post where I call it the piano keyboard of equus. And those acupoints that are on the bladder meridian along the longissimus groove, they are reflecting all the different meridians and organs, and they're really accurate left and right. So I'm always looking, okay, what's going on here? What's showing up? And if I see, for instance, T8 behind the scapula is reactive on the right, I go over to the right and I look for lung, because that's a lung point. And then I go into the lung, do we have grief here? And if I do, then I need to get the horse to process when and how that grief came in. And when they do that, that is a massive physical cyst that's localized, and I encapsulate it. And with the horses wanting me to do it, then I literally just kind of let it unload. It basically just not sort of unloads. It's a massive release physically, and the change of the lung and the whole thoracic cavity changes.
Wow.
So organs, blood, organs.
Okay.
If you just want a horse to run better, dog, cat, whatever, jump higher, whatever, if you don't address organs, you're really, blood too, but if you don't do organs are so massively controlling. They dominate. Visceral somatic dominance is the term. They dominate soft tissue and bone.
Okay.
I mean, I love bone. I'd be could easily call myself a frustrated wannabe chiropractor, because I love moving bones. I don't know why, I just do. But the real issue is what's causing the bone.
The vasculature.
And then when I do my work thoroughly, I go, okay, I got that bone. That's causing it. When it's ready, I barely touch it in the right vacuum, boom, it goes in. And or you might need to be a little bit more aggressive with it, but it's finding the hierarchy of dysfunction. And to me, that went through and use all the tools I want. No matter like my students that I work with, I'm like, don't throw away any of your tools, but now let's integrate what's going to work better, because a lot of things always come back to help you find things and are necessary, but it's the deeper blood, organ, fascia, nerve work, and craniosacral that really get the impact.
Great.
I'm after results.
Yeah. What we've talked a lot about in other discussions about the effect of glyphosate on the body for all the species, humans, dogs, cats, horses. And I know that you and I have talked about the impact of glyphosate on the horses from the exposure in the hay.
Yep.
What is the pattern, or how does that show up with the horses?
That one has been so clear. It's been immensely clear how it came in and everything else. It wasn't before, but years ago, especially before 2014, I would be working, I don't know, 30 horses a week, 40 maybe. And most of those people, unless they were really competitive or there were real chronic issues, I wouldn't hear from them for a couple years or whatever, and some, whatever, the horses were adequate or whatever. So, and you could really in one session largely clear most horses to an acceptable level. In those days, it was common. Now I have to think back the last time that happened. And so the reason, and all of a sudden what I found was I would get these horses instantly, like overnight, that had all these metabolic issues. And it tied itself back to they didn't vaccinate, they didn't change their feed, but the feed changed. So at that point, sugar beets, corn, and soy were reformulated in the United States and around, which is 90%, maybe more of the market share. And there's a glyphosate that's way more toxic than residual glyphosate in hay that comes in that way. So what I found real quick was the respiratory diaphragm in a horse will go out. The glyphosate causes massive leaky gut, and you're getting a little bit a lot. Then that leaky gut fires the liver off. And then the right lobe of the liver is the dominant aspect where all of the blood from all the digestive organs go to. And the right dorsal lobe is where all of the liver goes to into the system. That gets so inflamed, because everything's about inflammation, that takes the right diaphragm.
Okay.
So
it'll spasm the diaphragm?
Yes. And then when that happens, what sits around the diaphragm is the right diaphragm, with the right liver, see? So then when that happens, now you have a toxic liver that cannot methylate and detox and you name it. That's in functional medicine. Now the criteria for insulin resistance is the liver issue.
Sure.
And then you have toxins going into the bloodstream systemically and into the brain now that are unfiltered.
Is that why we're seeing so many bad hive issues in the horses?
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a total mirror of the human condition. The humans very similar. So then I see, like in a diaphragm, you have there's 3 holes in the diaphragm called hiatuses. So the entire drain of the diaphragm through the vena cava behind the horse's right elbow gets shunted and the whole system gets backed up. And then on the other left side, the aorta.
Liver chi stagnation in Chinese medicine.
Oh,
right?
big time.
Yeah.
And then you'll see T12 at the blood shoe of the diaphragm fire off on the right side. The phrenic nerve, it's a very powerful nerve coming out of C5 on us too, comes under the scapula. That'll be fired off from that. It'll go upstream afferently. The aorta's blocked at the diaphragm and it's making the heart pump harder. And then the big one in the horse world is, and in the human world in a different way that's not understood allopathically and it's super simple, is the third hole is the esophageal hiatus. So on us, it's here, and a horse, it's under T12.
Okay.
And it's about that far down. And it's like you put a deck screw down and held the spine down. So they're on the forehand right out of the gate right there.
They're locked down at the base of their neck?
Yes. And that's from the diaphragm torsion.
Okay.
On the side of the esophagus, left and right, is the gastric branch of the vagal nerve. And that's the nerve that controls acid secretion timing. And it gets impinged physically, in this case on the right, on these glyphosate horses. There's your stomach ulcer. I've done thousands of them. And if you don't clear that vagal impingement, you can Band-Aid it. I would, if that's your only case, but you have to clear that impingement.
Okay. So from a practical standpoint, it's avoiding the beets, the
sugar beets,
beets, corn, soy.
So, yeah, as there are other, certainly we get other amounts from everything.
Right.
But
but you're saying the hay is not as bad as
it isn't so far.
The pelleted feeds with the beets and
90% of the complete feeds out there are going to be, the first thing I check with somebody is, what are you feeding?
Okay.
Because if they're feeding that, I know it's going to be a systemic inflammation everywhere, including the heart.
Sure.
And if it's been there very long, I know they got the right diaphragm, everything I just talked about.
Yeah.
They have a right-sided stomach ulcer that maybe progressed out into the duodenum and into the hindgut ulcer. I mean, it just goes downstream. And then I go look at the head, and if we have an imbalance in the bone alignment at the head, left or right, I'm not sure why sometimes it goes left and why it goes right. It's always there. I used to think the head torsions were just trauma. It's largely metabolic now.
Okay.
The minute it does that to the head, it puts pressure on that side of the hypothalamus pituitary, And now you have a dysregulated endocrine system. Basically, you have metabolic syndrome.
Okay.
To me, that is the cascade of metabolic syndrome in horses, people, mammals. And
Okay.
glyphosate will do it within a month or two,
Wow.
easily.
Wow.
And because I watch horses, I get them off of that. People go, well, everybody says I should feed this. And then I come back, well, here it's back again.
Yeah.
And if you add other toxins in our toxic soup here,
Right. Like
the
that.
glyphosate really is just the kicker. It's like the all-star, blow it open.
That's the worst.
And it is.
But I'm sure the over vaccination is a big
Vaccines
part of it.
right with it. So you already have horses mostly that are over vaccinated now in the modern area. So they can't tolerate another vaccine anyway. It ain't going to work. The science behind vaccines is not even close to being there. In terms of its policy. It's not close to the policy. And so then you add glyphosate to it. So we have these horses that are just a wreck anymore.
Yeah.
And the rise of metabolic syndrome since 2014 just took off like that.
Yeah.
The ability to assess it and say that we know more about it, I get that, but it doesn't negate the fact that what caused that.
Yeah.
It should be an obvious thing. Something happened.
So-
what happened?
So in your opinion, from a practical standpoint, the best thing you can do if you have a horse or a dog or a cat that, to avoid metabolic dysfunction, we see it obviously most commonly in horses.
Yep.
At least, I think it happens in dogs and people too, obviously.
It's more common in horses.
Yeah, is to reduce the glyphosate exposure and not
Yep.
over vaccinate. Those are the two big
Absolutely.
pieces, right? And then probably deal with emotional stress and lifestyle things.
Yeah,
right?
and then of course our deficiencies because of our
Mineral deficiencies.
our modern agricultural situations to grow soil. Glyphosate helps deplete soil as well, minerals, but yeah, mineral deficiencies and other are huge as well.
Right. So do you usually recommend any specific mineral remineralization type products?
Yeah, a lot. And
Like
so
humic fulvic or...
that would be even better. But for most people that I'm just trying to get them, what are they going to be willing to go after?
Right.
If they're willing to go
What's
after
practical?
anything, yeah. So that depends on the client a little bit, and maybe even the area. The main thing is good. I first start out is what kind of salt do you feed? Because most people are using the same standardized Morton salt block, and it has aluminum silicate in it to make a cake or whatever. It's just not a very good salt source. It's better than nothing, but
Sure.
so at least go to
Like a Himalayan salt.
Himalayan's really good. Redmond's good. Sea salt's the next level down, and you can see that muscle testing. You watch that, do that, how the body responds to that.
Yeah.
So it's starting there. Then in horses, you often have calcium or phos deficiency, and so depending on what they're eating. So I look at that, and then trace minerals. Oh my God, they're huge. Other than selenium, are massive. So they may need magnesium. But the 80 trace minerals that are involved in all the enzymes and hormone apparatus that we don't really quite have the whole picture at all, I usually, for most people, and I still would say for all of us, go with a really good sea kelp.
Okay.
Some natural source, there's others that have everything there that you can build it back up.
In its bioavailable state,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So whole foods, basically.
Yes,
Humic fulvic,
it's same thing.
Redmond salt, Himalayan salt, and then the sea kelp. Would
Yeah.
those be your best mineral sources? For the
Absolutely.
horse? Great.
Yeah.
And those are all really inexpensive.
Yes,
To be practical.
pretty much so, yeah.
And people can take them too.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's really kind of this parallel path.
Yeah.
It's a parallel path. And I really think horses display this dysfunction probably better than other mammals. Probably, they tell me that it's because we're trying to mirror the human to try to get them to shift. And it's this metabolic syndrome in people is the physical manifestation of our, I'm just going to go right to the punchline. Our ability to come out of this toxic, foundational, survival, lower chakra level and come into the heart. And you think about the diaphragm as the dividing structure between that and the higher self.
Interesting.
And so to me, I think it's not a coincidence that it is to me, it's the primary culprit that you look for in dysfunction.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about going back to craniosacral techniques? I know that the cerebral spinal fluid flow is a big deal in terms of balance. Maybe talk a little bit about your experience with that and what you commonly see with that.
Yeah, that modality to me is indispensable. And to me, it's pretty obvious. It's because the energy that drives that is indispensable. It's not just this sort of sideline player. It's core energy, different than the soul, and it's the cerebral spinal fluid matrix, the flow of it. That's been known for a long time, but the fact of what's driving it is largely still underutilized and acceptable. But the whole cranial vault, all these bones, and that's been proven over and over. They move out and in what they call flexion extension, and with that, it pumps the cerebral spinal fluid down. So in a perfectly, to me, the definition of a physically healthy being is when the cerebral spinal fluid and the dura tube of the cord has no obstructions from the head into the coccyx, into the tail. If there's absolutely no restriction, there's nothing going on, because any little problem throughout the body will grab that spinal cord and hold it in predictable places along the acupoints, the bladder meridian. Fascinating.
Okay.
And so this whole thing of this, it's a central nervous system vitality, but it's more than that. So what you'll see on a physical level with distortions from TBIs and or metabolic syndrome will always have a distortion in the cranial vault, in the bones and in the interstitial fluid that you'll see as a lower eye, and a if it's on the right, or the horse is on the left side, it will almost come along with a torsion of the atlas pulling into the OA, and you'll get things like medulla vagal nerve obstructions. But you'll also get central endocrine control, like hypothalamus pituitary compression on that side, whichever side, and you'll have dysregulation based on that output there. The other thing is, so the hypothalamus and pituitary and the pineals, interestingly enough, are outside the blood-brain barrier. So these toxins coming in, feeding this thing through the internal carotid artery, these guys are really susceptible to our toxicity. So you add glyphosate to the mix, and it just goes on and on. The human research on glyphosate, it'll blow your mind how many different things it screws up. And so anyway, what I see all the time is I need to restore this balance. The craniosacral is uniquely suited, after I do the blood drain, to restoring that lightly. It's phenomenal for restoring the movement of the cerebral spinal fluid through. It's key. Without that, unless you have some other modality, I just don't see anything that really quite gets it once you get in there. It's a phenomenal one.
Okay.
And if you hear the old osteopath talk, and I would say it's the same, they've done an analysis like they did the heart, where they found the heart didn't have the power to pump the blood. So everybody went, well, what are you talking about? And so there's another energy. And I would say that it's piezoelectric. It can be fourth phase of water, but it's largely soul energy. This one coming in, there's no doubt. If you get into a central state where you feel central core energy coming into the top of your head through the pineal, it's the same energy. To me, it's spirit, flat out. No doubt about it. And it's enhancing that. And the osteopaths say, well, basically that spirit energy is coming in kind of like the big power lines outside that are coming off, that are coming in at like 35,000 volts. Well, that's too much for the body to withstand. And then they get to the body, the pineal, and they get shut down into the cranial system. Maybe they're running at 440 volts or whatever. And then what I see is, as that spinal cord's coming down, they has the same frequency as the head. But when it exits through the sleeves of the spinal nerves, then it shuts down to 120. It feels different, but it's a step down energy. And so I use to me, the neural system, craniosacral system, is all, the whole spiritual grounding is all the same energy. And I get much better physical anatomical results utilizing it that way. It's a powerful modality, and its efficacy is huge.
Great.
It's huge.
So it's equally as important as the vascular heart resetting.
Yep. So it's kind of like, what do I use here? It's an art.
Right.
It's a dance.
Right.
Yep.
It's fairly fascinating. It's really awesome. So let's shift gears now, because now
Sure.
you've kind of you've done you've created these, or evolved these techniques over the years, combining the osteopathy to the TCM, the craniosacral, and now after we spoke recently, which was new information to me, now you're shifting into a whole other sort of style of healing where you're actually using the horses to give you information about the human's health.
Yeah, I would have to say I'm geared for, I'm not satisfied until I keep going deeper. So, I mean, you know, years ago I was getting this deeper physical work with the osteo and that, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I made it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I went, oh no, you walked into another arena to know anything anymore, and you have to get good at that. And so if I just did mechanical work, I just want to fix this, this, and this, and this, you know, I just got done working some horses for Tevis, and that's okay, but I would quickly be so bored. And so it's the blessing and the curse. So it's the horses, probably, I would have to give them the credit for making dang sure that I walked into the deeper healing. And it's also the deeper physical healing, the deeper lessening of disease or clearing and true healing. And so for me, what they have shown me and what the validation, because I'm always skeptical wanting results, is they mirror us as humans. And some horses will do it voluntarily to somebody they don't know. But if you're connected to a horse, they know your core dysfunctions, and what's kind of, my left brain still doesn't understand it, but they will take on your core dysfunctions. They won't take on everything. They'll take on your core issues. Maybe not your core biggest physical pain, but your core, the thing that's causing the biggest physical pain. And so I'll be going through, you know, got some lameness on a horse, or I'll be working the diaphragm. And it evolved over a period of years, a little here, a little there. And I would feel something shift energetically really in the air. And that kind of energy is so powerful that I always get excited. I'm never not passionate when I feel it. To me, it's like, here we go. And it's akin to, like, if you're on an African safari and you're real close to lions running by, it's like, this energy is so powerful. And the horses do it too. So what the horses do with me now is they turn around, they look at me, and I feel the energy. There is a flow of the ground too, this spirit energy. The earth does the same thing. You'll hear indigenous people talk about the 1-2 beat of the earth, but it stops. And so this stopping is what the cranial people call a significant detector or still point. And it's the in-between. Mm-hmm. It's the place of creation. There's a whole different potentialization there. And they turn around and look at me and I go, okay. And then they have shown me, this is total equus and nothing to do with me, that they come up and start sniffing certain fingers. They still do it. And it's an equus language. And so what they're looking for is, they are ting point acupoints, but they're really like trailheads. And so they pick one, and I offer both hands to go which side, left or right. And then I go, you're talking about your human? And they'll go. If they know that I'm intuitive, they'll go, really? That was a dumb question. But if they don't, they'll glare at their human. And in the old days, when I didn't know this, they would walk up to the human, let's say it was a liver problem, and they would go in and they'd nudge the liver and turn around and look at me. And I'd go, okay. So now they will pick something, and then I'll go to the human, and they always follow me for some reason on my right side. And then I go to that part of the human, and then I light up a reflex pain spot that correlates. So I get validation. I don't know what it is about that. The person gets with me, but it awakens this circuit. Then I follow it. And once I do that, it's like it's awakened, and I can kind of go right to where the issue is. And what's interesting, even in normal physiological dysfunctions, with organs in particular, whatever's going on will have we call it an energy cyst. That whole dysfunction, maybe you have a whole lobe of I'll use the liver, but it's a lot more than that. But the issue is going to be in an area like so. So we call that energy. So, you can teach people to do this really quick, but that will have a dark, discordant energy, and you pick it up as an arcing wave outside the body. It's like the kind of energy that goes, oh, I'm starting to throb and become fatigued. And you can see it as a sphere. So basically, you go, okay, if it's this big, I know it's going to be there. And you go into the body energetically, and then when you hit it physically, it lights up, and
it's like a portal.
It is.
It's almost like they're showing you.
They're showing, and well, it's like an eminence of dysfunction.
That's crazy.
And I go right into them, and I encapsulate them. So my focus is, I get a lot of people who are very good at a lot of modalities as students, but they want to be always soft. They want to be always passive and neutral. And when you have something that's very non-neutral, very intense, when you meet it energetically, if you stay soft with it, you're not going to get any effect. And so I just boldly go in. And the horses don't like it if you don't boldly go in. So I encapsulate it and I send compassion to it. Compassion is the base frequency of the universe. It's so powerful. The compassion running itself at a high voltage with you authentically is to me healing energy all the way along. Even the physicists are saying that that's what the universe is throwing. So as I run that, compassion's not always passive. And it encapsulates that, and that energy system of dysfunction, spiritual, emotional, or just straight physical, it's always physical, will come to a crescendo. Now, sometimes, especially people, it may unwind and dissipate and transmute and move through the body. And that's preferred. But in horses standing or people standing loaded neurologically, it comes to crescendo. And at that point, I go, which way does it need to get out? And then I impulse it. And as the horse steps, boom, it goes. And it's a very bass noted. If you didn't feel it like a bass note into the ground, you didn't get it. Okay. And then the results right away are massively different. So the thing about horse mirroring, however, though, that fascinates me is that horses pick their human's main core dysfunction, or what the osteopaths call the AGR, the area of greatest dysfunction where the dominoes fall. And it's usually the shadow issue that held their biggest issue throughout their life.
Wow.
And so when I go into that, then I can just kind of talk with it, and the horse is there, and the intuitive, energetic exchange that's going on all around and beyond is so clear and powerful. The horse with me, we are much more powerful. I'm much more powerful with the horse with me than I am by myself in those cases. And I can take it right back to the core issue when that person got that issue. And it may have been a physical trauma. Often, however, it's usually something that happened in early childhood where you were shut down as a being. And if that shuts you down like this, you operate from this place of constriction, that's your core dysfunction physically. And it causes a whole cascade of things. Horses see it like it's, I ask them sometimes, how are you seeing this? And they're like basically, do you see that light bulb over there? It's like, you guys are they're so ahead of us there.
Wow.
And so bottom line though is the people shift. It goes into massive places of clearing. Sometimes they're not ready, and I just wake it up. And I refer them to somebody that I know can go in and get this and does that for a living. Other times, horses will want to, the neutral horses, meaning, let's say I'm at, I remember like the key story, I was at a clinic one time in Colorado in the winter. We're inside, and this horse is kind of a rank horse. They're giving me the halter to do a basic foundational acupoint forehand thing. Anyway, I got done, and he did all this unwinding, and he was so excited that somebody was listening to him. And there were 10, 11 people in that class. He decided, as I got done, we were getting ready to go work horses. He walked over, the people were standing kind of in a semicircle. He walked over to the first person on the left, showed me which finger. I went in and lit it up. I went into it, and he went, okay. And he started sniffing the next person, and I would unload that person. After about 5 minutes, I think I had gone through 7 people, and I turned around and looked, and my wife was there, and she's like, you sure you want to be doing this? All those 7 people are crying their eyes out because we awakened these deep emotional levels in a way that normally you'd want a lot of support for. But we went through all 10 people within 20 minutes. And would it be completely thorough? No, but highly evolving, just massive. This is just a massive, and there's lots of horses like this.
Wow, but not every horse is as in tune.
They can be shut down like we can.
Yeah.
That's a lot of my job is, even if you just physically get their body working, that gets them to where they can kind of, okay, now I know who I am a little bit more. I go a lot deeper, and I want them to step into it more as a part of their physicality. But they'll all say to me, let me back up. I'll get some people that, some horses have so much physical pain, and I get into it, and then I look, and they're not aware, or they're not taking me to their human, and I'll look at the human, I go, they get the same thing. same thing. And I'll look at that, and maybe there's been times where I go, I'm not sure that human's worthy of this. The horse, that horse taking that, and I'll look at the horse and say, within a week you could be better if you disassociate from this human. You may not need this human. Maybe you need to think about that. And they'll look up and they'll go, oh, yeah, that'd be so good. This pain is so excruciating. Wow. And then something happens, they get a download. And it's like, not negotiable. This is sacred contract. And I'm like, okay, I ain't playing with sacred contracts. I will honor them. They come here to awaken us to reestablish our true nature, which is a hell of a lot more powerful than we've been conditioned to be small. See, so that to me is what Equus is here for. The physical work I do on the body is really to get there.
Yeah.
Period.
So cool. So awesome. Yeah. And I mean, what do you think it is about the horses in particular as a species that allows them to do that versus a dog or a cat or...
They all do it, but they have different... Yeah, that would be a bigger discussion. I've had really good experiences with dogs, but they have a different approach. Horses, I don't know, they're like these dolphins on the land, and they know...
Because dolphins have a very healing frequency as well, right?
Yeah, you can go to, there's quite a few places, but Upledger Institute in Florida has a place where you can go work in a shallow lagoon with dolphins that can freely come and go, and they have the most bizarre stories of when the dolphin comes, what it does, and what transpires in the people. While people are working on people, it's phenomenal.
Cool.
So it's in different version of this, but horses that are awakened know that that's their primary purpose. They still like to run, jump, and be vital and all that stuff, and they can still be, kind of irritable and all that stuff too, but they know they have not lost, they still remember.
Yeah.
They're still connected to incoming guidance. In fact, one of the biggest techniques you can do to your horse is to reestablish their connection to the above. Often I will say, go ask your ancestors, connect with your ancestors, and you just evoke it, and the horse will, if the horse is receptive, which they usually are, they'll literally kind of look up, and within less than a minute, I don't know, if you just from a 3D standpoint, you start seeing strange things start happening, and it is the natural way. And we keep going, well, this is really odd. Well, it isn't, and it's us that have gone off track.
Sure.
And they know it's the essence of healing. They illuminate it more in us better. You can show the dysfunctions. You can take a horse and clear the organs that they had from the human. They don't react, and then bring the human back, and the human touches the horse, and those organs go right back off. And so they do it. But dogs do it differently, a little bit more conditional holding space, but they do it. Mm-hmm. Cats, they'll really do it if you really watch them.
Very cool. And with the horses, it's not just... It's spiritual emotional, but it can also be physical, like locating malignancies and such. I mean, obviously it's all connected, but you've told me stories about horses even locating malignancies in humans?
Lots of times.
Okay.
And usually those are where the horse won't let me touch them. They're all happy to see me. And then the minute I go to them, they go, no, you're not working on me. And so it took me a while to figure out, oh, that's odd. But what's that? Sometimes you might get a horse like that, but... And then I start talking to the human, and as I kind of do that, they come in, and the minute I go into the human, they're right there. And so those are always malignancies in my experience. And so I find it, they give me the input, I take the ride down, I get to it, and then I've learned over the years that malignancies have a very hardened 3D striated random pattern, like lines on them and different things, and they feel like a malignancy. That's all I can tell you. Mm-hmm. When it's a localized tumor anyway. Mm-hmm. And the horse is really looking at them, and those are like real timely, you got to get after this now. And almost every time I'll just be honest with them, and I'll light up other pain responses to really show what's going on. They're calling me back saying, thank you very much. I just saw an oncologist, and indeed, it's 100% accurate.
That's amazing.
They're like, to me, a walking MRI.
Yeah.
And I've had some functional med docs that will send me at times horses that I knew that could read people, they can't figure out what's going on. The blood markers and everything they've done, they just cannot find the dysfunction, and the horses will take me right to it within like 5 minutes.
That's fascinating.
And it is. And to me, I think we would behoove ourselves to pay attention to them.
Yeah. Can you share any specific stories that are really profound in terms of healing events?
Lots. I still want to go back to the apex story for me is, and I think because there was a lot of people there that it happened more, because I think horses and spirit wants people to awaken. So if you have a venue where there's a lot of people watching, seeing, you tend to get, when I go to expos and present or places like that, I got to really pay attention and get on my A game, because the energy coming in is so powerful that if I don't pay attention, I can't function. It's like the input is so high. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I can't handle this. And they're like, yeah. And so they don't care if you're discomfortable. They just want you to be there. So we were at an expo. Horse Expo in Pomona. So Western States Horse, I don't know how many years ago now, maybe 7, 8, 9. And I did, it's a 3-day thing, and I did 3 different presentations, and I'm putting it out there for those days. I'm going to do human horse mirroring. So I'm walking before the expo starts, and I'm looking for a horse and a person that's going to validate this. And I'm looking around, and I usually don't hear horses say words. I get their feeling movie clips. Mm-hmm. And this horse goes, I'll do it. I'm your mirror horse. I'm like, who the hell said that? And I had to look, because there's a bunch of horses there. And this horse is like, it's me. So then I go up to the horse, and I go, my left brain goes, okay, do you have problems? Oh yeah, okay. And then I see the owner, and she goes, I'll do it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're going to be up in front of a bunch of people. We're going to expose your physical dysfunction, that maybe more. I'll do it. I'm like, okay. So 3 days later, I'm hoping everything's good. She shows up. I get there, and her horse is there, and I start talking to her, and she's saying, she didn't say much. All I really cared about doing was showing that the horse can pick up physical dysfunction from the person and how it relates. So I asked, my wife was there, and she's mic'd up, and she took, this person's name was Diane, and they took her like 30 feet away and kept the space so the energetic exchange couldn't happen. So I go up to the horse, and I just touch this horse's liver, and the horse goes up in the air and starts showing its teeth and striking from the liver, the classic Chinese anger response, right?
Wow.
And so I had a student there who's now just phenomenal practitioner. She was holding the horse on the other side. So I went through, and I went, okay, this horse has large intestine, liver, kidney, and I just kind of stopped at the main organs. And then I did the thing where I brought people up from the audience, and I go, okay, how's your liver point? Fine. Touch the horse. Started doing all these different I just started throwing a bunch of stuff in there. So then I would clear the liver, and clear the kidney, and then, okay, clear the spleen, let's say. Then check it out, bring somebody up, can't find any responses, no reaction. The horse is like, whatever. Bring the owner back, and this was going to be the finale. The owner touches the horse, those organs go back right off the same intensity, majorly, exactly. She takes her hand off, they go right back on. So I was trying to show that physical imbalances in the person riding are a big deal, but they're nothing compared to what the horse is mirroring, because an organ dysfunction is going to be a massive torsion throughout the body. So that, to me, was great. That was goal met. And then I get this download. This horse can heal her. This horse can heal her. So I tell this horse, I go, you're supposed to heal her. And he's going, okay. And then he goes, I can't do that. Or she, you can't do that. So Yolanda had taken Diane back over, and I remember just waving the lead rope. And the horse would go, we're not allowed to do that. As if we can, but we're not allowed to yet. Which is a fascinating phenomenon. And then the horse would do that, and I'm going, but I'm getting you can. And the horse all of a sudden went, I can. She walks over, and before the horse got there, I walked up to Diane, and I went, well, let's see what's going on. It was just kind of checking, and I got lung right away. And she was due to have her entire large intestine removed because of her, her long-standing issue. And she had the surgery scheduled. So I went up, I go, your lung's more of dysfunction than your large intestine. So as soon as I touch the lung, she starts crying in front of everybody and says, my son just passed, or had passed, well, not too long ago. So this major grief lived there. And on it went. So anyway, the horse comes over me then and goes behind her shoulder and starts pulling something out, like a classic equus sucking motion.
Whoa.
And so I'm getting all charged with that. Well, the ground started shaking, and I thought I was losing it. I thought it was me. I'm thinking, oh my God, because the energy was so strong. I'm like, I hope I can stand up. That's how strong it was. And it's shaking like crazy. I don't know how my wife handled it because she acted like nothing was going on. I looked in the stands where people are sitting, and it was in the afternoon. They have like whatever their sodas or coffee was, and the coffee cups are shaking too, and the people's jaws are like, what the hell's going on here? So then I knew I wasn't losing it. And then the horse stops, the shaking stops. Goes to the end of the lead rope, coughs something up energetically, comes back, does it again, it starts shaking again, and then something just sort of crescendoed into this brighter, I don't know, light. Alls we know, all of us that were there, everybody innately knew profound, serious, miraculous healing from our standpoint happened.
Wow.
And it was because this horse, which was probably not that gifted in terms of ecos, did that. And then the backside of the story is, people came back to the booth after that and thought, oh, you're a miraculous healer. Can you put your hands on me? I'm like, that wasn't me. And I just facilitated. The next year, we're setting up for the same expo. And I'm out looking for horses. Yolanda, my wife's there, setting up the booth. And this lady walks up and says, hi, Yolanda, how are you? And Yolanda's like, do I know you? And it's Diane. And she can't recognize her. She's lost all this weight. She has vitality. She's doing this. She says, well, did you have your surgery? No. Did you do a bunch of different things? Did you do it? She goes, it all happened that day. So that is an apex story.
That's amazing.
I felt the ground shake before, since then, but not. That was the one I was like, okay, this is what's possible. This is that's the target.
So cool. I have goosebumps.
It was being that close to it was so incredibly powerful and effused with compassion. But it was so powerful that it was almost too much. It was on the verge of, I would imagine a lot of us would just fall down.
Right.
You just fall down. You just your circuits are blown.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's where that comes from. And I'm sure that any miraculous healing has some simplistic pattern like that. Call it simplistic. I don't mean it to be, it's simplistic, but it's so... It's incredible.
Right there, just instantaneous.
And that's really where I still keep going. If I could just touch a little bit more of that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I want to go.
Yeah. Well, that gave me the goosebumps. So if I know that your primary passion, I mean, obviously your passion is working with the horses and doing these healing sessions with people, but you also really enjoy education. And you do group live workshops, but you also have some online courses that you've built.
Yes.
And sessions. So can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah, I mean,
that?
I still in line with that purpose of awakening people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then that shifted, what was my idea or not, or I was kind of pushed that way, into doing mainly in-person classes. So I developed 3 main levels over the years, and each one of those originally were 3 different classes and 3 different handbooks. Now they're setting themselves up, and so they're kind of a foundation where all kinds of things, a lot of Chinese medicine and a lot of going in osteo energetics always, and then craniosacral, and then the osteo actually has 5 now. I'm working on the 6th class. Okay. As I learn more techniques, I put that in there, but they're all about I have to attune people to themselves to do these deeper techniques. It's an osteopathic thing. And over the years now, I think I really started that mainly at 2016, but it's just really taken off. We even have people teaching some of the courses back east now. But people come from all over. It's mainly international back east and Canadian, Australian people now. Okay. And some from the local area, and a lot of professionals. A lot of veterinarians, a lot of equine chiropractors, and a lot of the really good people are just going, I need to do this work, and they end up, it doesn't matter. And they go, well, I don't know the anatomy. I go, it'll come into your hands, and then you'll know it, and then you'll own it. And so I love that work, and that keeps going and going. Mm-hmm. And then I've got some videos online that some are free, some you can download that are higher end techniques, and lower end techniques, and I'm just constantly putting out educational information and social media platforms and that too. And as people are now more and more awakening to things, they're way more receptive and they're asking for more. So I'm still going at that path level, and currently working on doing some more of the foundational stuff online where I can get get people access to that can't come over here,
Yeah.
to do that kind of thing.
That's great. Website that they can access?
Yeah, Tom Mayes, MAYES.net.
Okay.
You can get anything there from all that. And then the same thing, I'll be on, I went with the personal named Facebook, Tom Mayes.
Okay.
And you can see what's up and see how it feels to you, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just encourage people to look deeper at what their dysfunctions are, what their horse's dysfunctions are, and what they're causing, and find people in your area, if you can, that have deeper connective skills that can help you get further, that kind of thing.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So awesome. So exciting.
Yeah.
Lots to learn always.
Always.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, it's been a great pleasure.
Great chatting
Thank you
with
so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.